Hello and welcome back. It's me, Chris Noosh, and you're watching another version of the Noosh vlog. So I'm down here. B is in my chair. Oh, what's that little groan? All right, go back to laying down. So me and B are hanging out down here. Marty's here too. She's over there snoozing. And this week I have two projects that I would like to work on. The first project is another tiny print. With the success of the whale shark I did a couple weeks ago, boom. I want to do another one. And so I've got this little saber-tooth cat that I drew out last week. And I'm going to turn that into a tiny print. I have transferred that already to a block. It's really hard to draw that small with a Sharpie. So it's kind of blobby, but I know what I'm doing when I carve it out. So there it is. The second thing that I want to do is I want to start another carved and painted piece. I sketched this one out last week as well and finished it up over the weekend. But I've got a rhino selling hot dogs on the savannah that it's a fun piece. And I want to carve that out and paint that one up this week. So those are the two projects that I'm going to start working on this week. And the first thing I need to do is carve this block. This is going to be a reductive relief print. So boom, there's the definition of the reductive relief print there. A reduction print is a multicolor block print where all the colors are printed using one block. The block is reduced or carved and then printed at different stages of the process to create a full color design. Once the first color is printed, the matrix or block is destroyed forever in the creation of the matrix for the second block, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. All right, back at it. I need to carve out the white areas on this, so when I print it, it'll be paper white underneath. The first color is going to be this light purple color in the background. Boom, something like that. And this week, I'm going to introduce you to what is known as a rainbow roll. So that'll be the new information that I introduce this week. The first layer of a reductive print really doesn't take all that long for me to carve because I don't have a lot of just open white areas planned in most of my reductive block prints. This one specifically probably took me about 30 minutes to an hour to carve. Not super long. Just got to carve out all the white areas and don't have to worry about too much of like the really fine details in this. Everything that is going to be white has been carved away. See here's what I have for reference. If you notice, I've left all of the line work in between because I won't have an opportunity to come back in and add that later. So it's going to be very important that my registration is very, very, very tight for this piece. I got my registration board all set up. It's a different registration board from the last one that I did. Once again, using the Turns Burton registration pins. And it's a different board because even if I wanted to, it'd be very difficult for me to make it the exact same size. It's a little bit of a different size because this one's a vertical orientation and the whale shark was a horizontal orientation. But so it's a little bit different. I have little cardboard tabs all around the board, taped down so it locks the block in. There is no wiggle room at all. It won't move. The last one that I did, the whale shark, it moved ever so slightly, and it created a little bit of an issue at the end that wasn't really that major, but that's what caused it. It kind of wiggles left and right like this. Maybe I'll put one more here and there so I can't do that. All right, now it's in there. It's in there pretty good. There is a little bit of wiggle. I think it's unreasonable to make it not wiggle at all. The wiggle right now is about the thickness of a hair. So I'm going to call this good. So I'm going to set this over to the side for now. And the last thing that I need to do is I need to tape the tabs onto the sheet of paper. And to do that, I just put the sheet of paper lined up with the lines drawn onto the board, which is the edge of the sheet of paper. Lines there. Put some tabs on and put a piece of tape down. And now it's taped on. And now all I have to do, pop that off, and I have to do that for every sheet of paper in the edition. Plop, plop, paper straight, and tape. Got that down. And the idea is that if the paper doesn't move, and the tabs don't move, and the pins don't move, and the block doesn't move, then every time you flop the paper on top of it, the print is going to line up in the exact same place every time. And I'm doing that 3 times. Should look pretty good. All right, I'm going to sit down and watch something on the computer and tape all these pins on top of it. Good morning, Marty. Are you ready to start printing? Are you going to look at the camera? Marty doesn't like cameras. She doesn't like looking at cameras. Come on. No, she's not going to look at the camera. Well, good morning. Well, today I'm going to put the first layer of ink down on this little saber-tooth kitten print, and I'm going to do something a little bit differently than I did on my whale shark print. I'm going to do what's known as a blend roll or a rainbow roll. What I'm going to do with these ones probably is more accurately described as a blend roll, because I'm going to go from a dark color to a light color at the top. Let me show you how I make that. Marty, you grumpy little face. I've got my slab up here, and I've got what I believe to be a nice little purple. It's kind of like closer on the pink side than it is the blue side of the purple. So I've got that down here, and then I've got some white up there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make two different colors. I am going to take some of this purple, the bulk of it, and I'm going to mix it into this white. And that's going to give me a darker purple, and then I'm going to take a little bit of it, and then I'm going to mix it. Let's see. I can always add more. It's hard to take it out. So I'm going to take a little bit of it and mix it into that white and see how I can blend those two together. All right, so let's go. Let's start mixing. I'm going to keep my white knife white. Marty, what you doing? Just start mixing. So this one's going to be my darker color. This one's going to be the bottom of the print. It's like a plum. I think I wanted it a little bit pinker, but this is also nice. Might be a little too dark. We'll see. But it is a nice plum color. All right, so now I'm going to start mixing what is supposed to be the lighter color. So I've got a lot more white over here than I did on the other side, and not as much of the purple color mixed in. A lot more white, not as much purple, equals a lighter color. I'm glad I didn't do all of it, because that's looking pretty nice. I want it to be very soft and very delicate, the whole thing. So I think I am accomplishing that right now. I'm happy with that color. It's closer to pink like I wanted. It looks good to me. All right, so I'm going to continue mixing these off camera. All right, so I've got my block here. I've got my roller, and you want to use a roller that's about the same size as your block. This one is a little bit smaller, but that's okay. It's only about 1 inch or so smaller, and I can move it around. You'll see why that's important in a second. So the first thing I want to do to mix these colors together to make a blend roll is I want to the first thing I want to do is get all this white up. I don't want this white mixing in with the paint down here. So I'm just going to scrape that and take it up there. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to come up and I want to kiss this. Yes, I said kiss. Take a little bit of ink and bring it down here and just start working it together. And I want to keep the center of the roller pretty much in the center. I don't want to move it too much, but you do have to move it back and forth about 1 inch just to get it to blend together. And now I've got a pretty good blend of colors. I've got dark on one side, light on the other, and that is just going to be gorgeous when I lay the ink down and print it. So let's print that for the first time. That's a blend roll. And I want the darker color on the bottom and the lighter color on top. I didn't really think this out for filling purposes, but I've got them flipped on where they should be, so the block has to be upside down for me to ink it properly. And the most important thing about a blend roll is that you can't roll this way on it, or this way, or flip the roller around. You can only roll in one direction, this way. All right, and that is perfectly inked. All right, let's get the block into the registration jig. Actually, how does this go? It goes like this. It goes upside down. It's gonna fight me every time for me to do this correctly. So it goes upside down. I'm using this awl, which is just a tool with a sharp point on the end to get the block into the registration jig perfectly. So I don't get ink on my fingers. I'm just pushing down in the uncarved or the carved away areas. Just like last time, I'm going to snap the paper into place, make sure that the tape side is up, and plop it down. And then run it through the press. That kind of felt like it wasn't enough pressure, but let me take a peek, see what it is. Ooh, it's sticky though. Yeah, not quite enough pressure. So I'm going to send it through one more time. All right, let's check it now. That looks good. Sweet. It may not be quite as light as I was hoping, but it does look good. I'm going to keep it. It's a nice grape, so like a lavender color. This color on top might be one of my favorite colors in the world. I love this like grayish purple color. I'm gonna run with it, and I think I'm gonna make it really pop with like a really bright electric yellow orange for the cat's fur itself. The first layer is down on the tiny tooth cat prints. They're all hanging up to dry. Should be dry at some point tomorrow, hopefully. The colors really don't do a whole lot. Like, you can't really see them inside, so I'm taking it outside to show you how the colors look in real life, because it's quite a pretty color, and you can see the difference between the dark and the light. What I need to do now is I need to start working on this rhino piece. So I've got the wood cut out, I got a frame for it and everything all made that I made a while ago for something else, and I'm gonna use it for this instead. But I'm gonna draw this out onto the board. It's actually pretty fun drawing. Fun fact, when I'm drawing these onto the board, I have to fight against Marty because she loves to rub on the tripod, and that moves the image up on the board, and I don't know what to do, and sometimes I have to line it back up, and it becomes a whole lot to do. I don't know if you saw Little Miss Needy's tail popping up the whole time while I was drawing, but she was there. She was sitting in my lap for like the last 10 minutes of this. All right. She needs some attention. All right. I gotta go get that ready to start carving. Look at it. Now she looks at the camera. Marty, I gotta get to work. With the rhino all drawn out onto the board, now it's time to start carving. Here we go. Like I've said before, every piece of birch is slightly different, so I don't know why, but I always go for the eyes first. I should go for an area that's not as important and test the quality of the birch, see how it's going to pool, see how it's going to rip. But I didn't do that for this one. I went straight for the eyes, as always. Carving at the circles, flip it around. I put a little score mark in the middle, so I don't have to worry about the piece peeling when I don't want it to peel. It's Thursday morning now, and Marty's rubbing all over the camera, so you might see that happening again. But it's time for me to take a break on the rhino piece that I was working on yesterday and put the next layer onto the saber-toothed cat. So with the color being a little bit darker than I was wanting to go, but it's still looking very nice, so that's why I didn't change it, because I like the richness of the color. I'm a little concerned about the orange's ability to sit on top of it. Orange and yellow has a tendency to be transparent, and I don't want that on there because then it'll just look brown. I want it to be bright orange. So I'm going to use white in the ink, which is very opaque, so it sits nicely on top of that color. Oh, and I've carved away everything that I needed to carve away on this block as well. Including the tongue and the nose on the inside and then everything on the outside. I have a pretty decent orange mixed out on my slab. It's a combination of white, yellow ochre, and then a red that I have. I put it on some toned paper to see if it's opaque enough. Oh, I can't get it to focus on it. focus. And there it is. I think it's opaque enough. I think it's going to sit nicely on top of that. The little fingerprint that you see up in the top here, right there, is that's the yellow. And then by adding the white and the red, I made it more transparent, or more, I keep saying the wrong word, more opaque, as you can see right there. So I'm gonna do a test print, see if we're looking good, see if I need to change anything, but I think it's gonna be a good color, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Isn't it fun to see the colors sit on the surface of a block for the very first time? Look how different it looks. On the press bed, doing everything the exact same as I did yesterday. I don't really need the all today because I've got blank spots on the board that I don't have to touch ink. So put the block in the little jig. Make sure my fingers are clean since I've just been playing with ink. I'm gonna do my best not to touch the bulk of the paper. Snap it into place, flop it down, and run it through. Ready for the first peek at the print, very carefully. Look at that. So the color looks a little bit duller than I was wanting it to be, but I think once I put the black on top of it, it's gonna pop out pretty good. So I'm not gonna worry too much. You know, this is a learning process for me still. I need to see how to work with a lighter color sitting on top of a darker color. And if this doesn't work, it just doesn't work, and I've learned something new. All right, now to get back to work on the rhino carving. After 2 days of carving, I've got the rhino piece 100% finished. It's got a lot of really fun details on it. I like the background, the motion in it. It's kind of a radiated background out from the center, but the radiants kind of curve a little bit as they go around. It's kind of a rotating, slight radiated background. Got a lot of cool things going on. I really want to finish that this week. I also really want to finish this little cat, saber-toothed cat. I'm on a little bit of a time crunch. It is about 11 o'clock at night on Thursday, and I want to finish both of these projects. I won't be able to do that unless I do something tonight. So I'm going to print these little guys tonight so I can start painting the piece tomorrow. That is my current plan. Using the exact same process that I've done for the last 2 layers of this print, I roll it through my press, pull it up carefully, and see what I've got. It looks pretty good. The muddy orange that I was worried about isn't so muddy. It kind of pops once you, like just how I thought once you put the black outline around it. Looking good in the sun too. I think it's a pretty good looking print overall. What do you think? It's Friday morning now, and last night I finished up all of the little saber-toothed cat. I'm calling them, I gotta remember what I call them. I'm calling them the tiny tooth cats. And the reason I'm doing that is because there's not a whole lot of room to sign on the bottom. So I want to try to make it as the name as short as possible. So tiny tooth cats, although it's not a super short name, it's shorter than tiny saber-toothed tiger. It's shorter than that. They all came out pretty good. The orange actually worked out really well. It looks pretty good. The darker color, you know, at the end, it works out. I should trust myself a little bit more sometimes. And it's fun to experiment and do things that are different. And I don't need to follow like the formula of the first one that worked, which was the whale shark. You know, the background was real light there, but those colors work together. And I designed these colors to work together too. So there they are. Both of them finished. This one was finished a couple weeks ago. And then this one I finished last night. It is time for me to now finish the rhino piece. I've got some time this morning to paint on this. Ta-ta-ta-ta! Here we go. When I first started painting this one, I wasn't so sure about the colors I was using. I thought I was being a little too bold, and I decided that at the end, I was going to change it if I didn't like it. But spoiler alert, I ended up liking it. For the hot dog cart, I used all metallic paints. Well, not metallic, they're more of a pearlescent paints. I wanted it to look like it was made out of like that stainless steel metal. And for the rhino here, I'm just using a flat gray paint for now, and then I'm going to create two shades of gray that are lighter and darker and kind of work those in slightly a little bit. I also added a little bit of blue into it. We're getting close to being finished here. The hot dog, throwing some highlights on top, and look at all that. See, I trusted myself at the beginning. I really did almost paint over the whole entire orange background with like a blue background, but I'm glad I didn't. And another productive week is in the books here at Noosh Studios. I got the little tiger prints all finished up. I got the rhino with the hot dog cart all done. And that is it. I have a handful of t-shirts I need to print this afternoon. Once again, I'm going to do that on a Friday afternoon. Afternoon. Can I say it enough? I'm going to print those shirts. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me this week. Hopefully you enjoyed. And I'll see y'all next week. Oh, next week, I'm considering taking a week off. I'm considering it. So you might be in for a Noosh Extras or something like that next Monday. I've got some things I need to catch up on personally. So I'm considering taking a week off. Thanks for watching, guys. All right, see you later. Bye.